Hi, it's Louise Tanner-Stokes from the Anti-Dieting Revolution, and this week I wanted to talk about how it's time to be kind to yourself and how actually being kind to yourself can help you get control of your eating. So, first of all, how does it help you when you guilt trip yourself about the way that you're eating, about food? You know, when you look at food as something that's bad, whether you're looking at specific foods or maybe you're looking at all food as bad. When you tell yourself that food is naughty or it's wrong or it should be banned, when you eat it, you feel bad, don't you? And then, you know, if you're eating stuff that you've told yourself is naughty, you start calling yourself a bad person. So you feel rubbish. And when you feel rubbish, you're more likely to eat more to try and feel better. And then before you know it, you're stuck in this guilt binge cycle. I couldn't get my words out then, where you overeat and you feel guilty, so then you eat more to try and feel better, and then you feel even more guilty, and you just go round and round in circles, and you just feel miserable and frustrated, and food just feels like this just horrible. You just have this horrible relationship with food where you love it but you hate it. So it's time for a completely different perspective on food that is so much kinder to yourself. Because let's face it, food is just food. And it's time to look at food as just food, nothing more, and ditch that morality that we attach to food because it doesn't make any sense. Food is just food. You're not a good or a bad person depending on how you've eaten. You're not, good because you've been eating right, or you're not bad because you've been eating things that you don't think you should be eating. It's time to focus on food as fuel because that's what it's there for. It's there to give you energy. It's nourishment. It's there to give your body nutrients. It's not something to be focusing on restricting or something that we should be constantly looking for how we can cut stuff out. You know, there's always stuff on the internet about, oh, this is the number one food that you should be cutting out. And I hear all the time people promote diets where it's, you know, that this is the food that you need to avoid to lose the weight and things. And that's not what food is all about. That's not what food should be about, I don't think. Food is fuel and nourishment. And if we flip the focus away from restricting food and punishing ourselves with food and all of that kind of crappiness, and focus instead on food as fuel and nourishment, it's just so much kinder because when you nourish your body and you give your body what it needs, you give it the energy, you give it the nutrients, you're more likely to feel good. And then you're more likely to do other things that help you feel good, like, you're more likely to sleep better, you're more likely to do exercise, and all of those then help you to feel better. And it's like a positive cycle. So when you're kind to yourself and you nourish your body, you look after your body, you feel better, you do more things that help you to be healthier, and then you feel better. And then when all of that's, you're doing all of those healthier things, you're less likely to overeat, so then you're less likely to feel guilty. So it's much better to be kinder to yourself and focus on looking at food as something to use as self-care, and how can I look after my body? How can I feed my body? How can I fuel my body? Is a much better way of looking at it. So if you are stuck in the cycle of overeating and you end up feeling guilty about how you eat, and then you end up eating more and you're just going round and round in circles, here's something I want you to just have a think about. Just press a pause button on everything. Instead of trying to change what you're doing, just start with self-awareness, okay? So being aware of yourself, how you feel, what you're doing. Notice the situations where you overeat, okay? And sometimes this can be hard. It takes practice to recognize what's going on. But just start with that self-awareness, press the pause button and just ask yourself, when do I tend to overeat, okay? And it's all about observing what's going on in that situation. So what's actually happening, or what's just happened, okay, in the situation. And just spend some time exploring, how did you feel physically? How did you feel emotionally? Without any kind of judgment. Don't attach judgment to those feelings. Just notice and observe what's going on. What were you saying to yourself? What was going through your mind? Do you recognise any beliefs that were popping up about that situation? Any kind of stories that you were telling yourself? What kind of perspective were you taking on the situation? So it's all about being curious and exploring what's going on, without any kind of judgment, without stressing about changing the situation or changing your reaction or changing what's going on. This is really about pressing the pause button and just starting with self-awareness, because it does take practice, and sometimes this can be the hardest part of actually recognizing what's going on. Can be the hardest part before you even get to trying to change. It can take time, it can take practice to actually recognize what is going on, why are you doing things. So it's about being curious without any judgment, though. Just taking a step back to pay attention to your feelings, your thoughts, what's going on in the situation, how did you respond, trying to find out why you responded in that way. So questioning what's going on can sometimes be the first step to actually shifting it. Actually just asking yourself why am I doing that? Why is that happening? And that can sometimes be enough to actually get you started on making some changes. But it takes practice. It really does take practice. And obviously, one big thing I would always say is allow yourself the treats with zero guilt. Can't get my words out. With zero guilt, zero self-punishment, zero beating yourself up. Allow yourself those treats. That also helps as well. But this is all about self-awareness, what I'm talking about today. And it's about being kind to yourself, because life is just too damn short not to be kind to yourself. And life's too short not to enjoy the cake and chocolate as well, isn't it? So have a think about what I've talked about today. Think about practicing that self-awareness. And if you need more help with this, just give me a shout. And it is time to ditch dieting forever, because you deserve better. Take care, and I'll see you soon.